Welcome to the Drunken Bear Hello Bear Squad. Today we're gonna tell you what to do and what to eat in Prague, Czech Republic. Would you believe that there is a town where time looks completely stopped since the 12th century? We were so amazed at what we were looking at when we visited Prague's Old Town. Known as a popular marketplace in the olden days, Old Town now attracts more than 8 million tourists each year.
The gorgeous, enchanted Old Town Square starts with the iconic astronomical clock, and soon after, the Church of Our Lady before time.
I felt like we were time traveling. The narrow street just fit tiny cute trams.
The endless turtleneck shops do not seem to be the scenes you would find in this modern age, and you will not resist having at least one while on your stay here in Prague. One of the dominant features of Old Town in Prague is the astronomical clock that is over 600 years old. The dial within the clock was commonly used in medieval timekeeping. The clock itself has a long, interesting history with the statues on the side representing the four evils, and it's the oldest astronomical clock still in operation today.
If you're visiting Prague for the first time and there's a restaurant that you must go, is Havel Ska. This is a canteen-style restaurant with so much delicious Czech food to choose from. Usually there is a queue because the food there is really good. So many people are lining up for these amazing dishes. You must check this one out. And also they're very affordable. We highly recommend putting some dumplings on your plate as well because they're so tasty and they really go with other Czech dishes. Rich gravy. I love this. It's like a mushroom sauce, but I like the beef. It's so soft, tender.
It's also a really different dining experience, as when you enter, you're given a piece of paper, and as you order, the servers behind the counter will write it down exactly what you've decided. At the end of your meal, when you're leaving, you just hand the paper back to the worker at the door, and then they calculate exactly how much you've paid. So we just finished eating at Havel Ska Corona. This place is really good for many reasons. One, it serves traditional Czech food. It's buffet style, so you can actually choose how much you want to spend pretty much. So Rachel, she spent a little bit more, had a bit of a bigger meal than me, and she only spent about $4 US, whereas mine was a bit smaller because we were having lunch, and it was $2.80. For lunch in the middle of Old Town, that's pretty good. That's as good as it gets. We really enjoyed our experience there, and it's a great way to eat however much you like according to your hunger and also your budget.
When you type on Prague on Instagram, the most predominant pictures you'll find is going to be the pictures in Charles Bridge.
Charles Bridge was built in the 1300s and crosses the Vltava River. Previously, it was used as one of the main modes of getting from Prague Castle to the other side of town, with vehicles and trams running along it. However, now it's only open to pedestrians. It's about 500 meters long, and it's a very popular tourist attraction here in Prague. In fact, it's so popular that it can be quite daunting to cross, with like so many heavy crowds seeming to be endlessly crossing it. There are souvenir stands along the bridge, as well as artists and buskers. So it's definitely an entertaining walk to the other side of town. I've realized there's a lot of people doing drawing of people doing caricatures. It's like along the whole bridge, there's a lot of that going on. It's just funny, quirky things that are always interesting when you go travel, you never know about. To avoid the crowds, try to get there early in the morning or maybe later in the evening.
Havel Market is one of the oldest markets in Prague, dating back to 1200. If you haven't found any souvenirs in Prague, then head to this market. This market will throw a bunch of ideas your way. It's a really fun place to hang out with crafts, wooden toys, leather goods, and there are sometimes some creepy dolls that, you know, if you want something different, then go for them too. Look at these dolls. They look horrifying. so scary. These open sandwiches are absolutely to die for.
You can choose from many different sandwiches which all contain several very different toppings.
They are very affordable. It was like $3 per sandwich and was so delicious.
This only cost me 87 crowns. Incredible! That's a really good cheap eat. Yum, it's like cream cheese. It's so delicious.
Yummy!
The portion sizes are quite large too, as you see. It's actually pretty big. There's my hand. Pretty big portions, taste really fresh, and all the ingredients taste really fresh.
You can choose as many as you want. We chose 3 each, but for one it's actually about 28 to like 30, very cheap. So that's about less than $2. Really good, great cheap eats. Literally whenever I find them in Prague, I always got them, and it's great for breakfast and lunch, and you can choose from many different sandwiches which all contain several toppings.
One of the cool things you can do while you're here, and it's just really close to Charles Bridge, which everyone comes to, is go to the John Lennon wall. You've got like a mural filled with graffiti. It's the only place that you can actually do graffiti here, and you can write on the wall, send a message of love on the Lennon wall.
Since 18, but lately it may seems slowly sinking, wasting.
The Lennon Wall has an interesting history dating back to the 60s when love poems were written on the wall against the regime at the time. Later in the 80s, following the assassination of John Lennon, an unknown artist painted an image of Lennon along with some lyrics, and since then the wall has been used as canvas in which people would send messages of their ideals. Recently it was used by the Extinction Rebellion to place their message of climate change, and today it is more closely monitored, more as an open air gallery.
When we first visited Cullen, the first thing that struck me was how very little tourists were. But that doesn't really mean that suburb isn't worth to walk down, because it has such beautiful, colorful buildings. In fact, I took several pictures and accidentally sent one of them to my brother, and he was like, why does this building look like a block of chocolate? It does look like a block of chocolate. This suburb is love. I love this suburb, Cullen. So pretty, everything is so colorful.
This part of town used to be a little on the rough side, but after the floods in 2002, the area has seen a lot of growth and change and has brought in a very new crowd. It's got some cool bars and cafes, and is definitely one of my favorite places in Prague.
I've heard this place, Vinohrady, is a really good place to try some Czech cuisine, and it's student friendly, which means it's probably budget friendly. So it's our kind of place, and we're going to check it out.
A great little pub serving beer and hearty food, and the meals are also served with a big basket of bread.
It's a big, massive sausage, this one. Kind of almost looks like a kransky. Gotta dip it in the mustard. It's a lot like a kransky. Deliciously juicy. And I never really dip a sausage in mustard. I know you have it in a hot dog, but the mustard is, it's not so spicy. It's got a kick to it. It's really yummy. Very happy with my meal.
Customer service isn't first class by any means, and communicating in English is not so easy. However, the vibe of the pub, location, and delicious and affordable food make it a great place to visit while you're here in Prague. Pilsner, Urkel, Staropramen, Kozel, the list goes on because there is so much Czech beer and it's so damn good. And they've been drinking beer for more than a millennium, so they definitely know how to brew a good beer. Czech beers are well known all over the world, but there's nothing quite like trying some local, and you won't have to spend too much as they are quite well priced.
We are in a bar in Prague, and I've got my massive beer here, Branik,
and it was about $1.80 Australian, so I'm pretty happy with that. Prague Castle was built in the 9th century and it's the office of the President of Czech.
It's pretty incredible. Look at this. This is Rachel's reaction, and this is why.
It's actually the largest ancient castle complex in the world, and it's not surprising fact once you find yourself face to face with it. It is absolutely huge. Over 1.8 million people visit the castle each year, and you'll find that it can be a bit tricky to see it without massive crowds surrounding you. A good tip though is to come early to avoid the crowds, making it easier to take photos of this majestic structure in Prague. There is also a security check before you enter, but there's no entrance fee.
See?
Oh, look at this. I got it. It's nice. It's nice and warm. It comes with a little stirrer. It's a good dollar coffee. The one show that I grew up with and still love watching is The Simpsons. Everyone from all over the world knows this animation. Some people hate it, some get obsessed with it, but few know that there is a restaurant in the most sought after suburb of Cullen that has a Simpson themed restaurant.
I mean, the name itself is self-explanatory. Plenty of Simpson merch and posters are scattered throughout the establishment. It's got a fast food restaurant style menu with a Simpsons in it and with a cheap local beer.
So we're here inside this little cute restaurant. Love it, just relaxing. Love it, having my first staropramen beer. It's so juicy. Juicy, succulent pork. Exactly how Homer Simpson would like it, I think. The prices here are actually pretty good. It was $1.60 for our main meal with a side dish, and also this beer was 33 Corona, so it's pretty cheap here considering we're still decently close to the center of town, so it's another pretty good cheap eat.
Whenever we travel to a new country, one thing we make sure to do that is finding hipster suburbs. And Vinohrady came up when I searched Prague.
Vinohrady translates to vineyards, and that pretty much sums up the history of this area of Prague, as it used to be home to many vineyards. Now it's actually more gentrified, and it's a suburb full of hip cafes, restaurants, still a great place to enjoy some wine, and it probably has the best options for cafes in all of Prague. And with an international, more artsy vibe, it's a definite spot you must try while on your visit.
You would remember this dessert when you go to Prague.
This dessert is absolutely everywhere in Prague. In fact, you won't even need to look up where to go to find this delicious treat, as you'll probably pass hundreds of them while walking through the city.
It's got chocolate in it.
Look, you can see.
But looks like a lot of people top up with ice cream or whipped cream.
It's basically made from rolled dough and then cooked on a spit and then doused in sugar or chocolate, and even sometimes filled with ice cream. It's not believed to have come from this area originally, and all over Europe you can try variations of this dessert, but I must say I really did enjoy the ones I tried in Prague.
A Pilsen trip wasn't on our itinerary primarily, but we made that trip to see my friend, and I don't regret going there. If the crowds in Prague are getting you down and you cannot take a picture of a Prague castle, then head to Pilsen. Pilsen is basically a small version of Prague. In fact, it's the 4th most populous city in Czech Republic, and it is the home of a Pilsner beer.
In the main square you'll find the Cathedral of St. Bartholomew, which has the highest tower in Czech. So if you can brave the steps to get there, it's quite a long and narrow climb. So once you get to the top though, it's totally worth it, as you get magnificent views of the whole town. While in town, also make sure to head to the brewery for a tour and taste the local beer. Pilsner beer was the first light lager ever made in the world, and it became so popular and is now exported and enjoyed all over Europe and the whole world.
And even South Korea too. I've seen a lot of Pilsner beer in my hometown. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful time in Prague. We've mentioned there are so many tourists, and yeah, it can be a little bit annoying, but you know, that proves my point. Czech is somewhere really you must visit in Europe. We all become tourists when we go overseas. There are just a million places to take pictures. I really felt like I was transferred to another dimension. It was that different for me, and I'll definitely think about going there next time. I hope you enjoyed our video. Thank you for watching our videos as always, and please subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and we'll see you next time. Bye!